A routine exploration took a sharp turn when a robotic diver, operated by maritime archaeologist Kiera, latched onto a corroded container resting on the seabed. The team aboard the vessel watched through grainy monitors as the mechanical arm worked to reveal what was sealed inside. As the container's doors creaked open, the control room fell into stunned silence, their monitors displaying an unbelievable sight. Seeing the container's contents, they couldn't believe what they saw. How had this ended up at the bottom of the ocean? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. They were trying out the newest prototype of their RoboDive. This one would be able to go to a larger depth without there being any issues with the pressure until a certain limit. By doing this, they could go much deeper and get live footage on depths they hadn't yet explored as an operation. They had no clue that they would actually encounter something this groundbreaking. Kiera, a maritime archaeologist, and others from the organization were looking at the live footage together. Kiera kept steady as they went deep. Kiera, seeing the value of a device like this, was happy to collaborate with the company of the robotic diver. She was sure they could uncover great things using a device like this. It had been more like a test drive, getting the device's feel and what would happen to the footage as you went deeper into the ocean. They had been diving deeper and deeper, and the footage displayed on the monitor started to become grainier. Then, she saw something a bit further away, something that raised eyebrows around the room. From so far away, one could almost miss it, especially with a lack of light so far down. However, with Kiera's sharp eyes, the slight purple hue was unmistakable. She definitely wanted to find out what that was. She brought the robotic diver closer and noticed that the purple shade changed to red. It was a container, and it was huge. As far as she was aware, there hadn't been any shipwrecks as of recently, and this site hadn't been given as a place that had to still be excavated. It made her wonder if someone had dumped this container here. Had a ship lost something but not made a note to the Coast Guard? Luckily, those questions would soon be answered. Hugh stepped beside her, the supervisor of today's proceedings of the robotics company. His brows were furrowed, looking at the display. This is unexpected but allows us to showcase our RoboDiver's efficiency and how easy its controls are to operate, he said with a smile. He had no clue what it was about to uncover. After Hugh's explanation, the RoboDiver was quick and easy to use. Though the device was relatively small, it appeared to be strong. Hugh had shown her by grabbing rocks effortlessly from the seabed. He wanted her to open the container herself. He had told her that it had been her discovery and she should do the honors. Kiera felt nervous about opening the container. She had heard the murmur of her colleagues and employees of the RoboDiver. They believed its insides to be typical of a container, some goods that had never reached their destination. However, Kiera couldn't shake the feeling in her underbelly that it would be something totally unexpected. She gently used the controls, ensuring that the RoboDiver had one of the 3 claws to secure itself and for her to open the container using the other 2. She had to admit that it was a smart design, especially with the weightlessness of being underwater. An extra claw for grip was a good accessory. It was time to open the container. She worked meticulously with the controls, seeing that the container was sealed. If there were still air inside, it would prove to be difficult to open, but with the fact that it was lying at the bottom of the ocean on the seabed, she would wager that there had already been a breach. The screeching sound of the metal opening could be heard from the monitor. It was time to look inside. As she opened the doors, everyone looked at the screen broadcasting the monitor footage with bated breath. As it opened, the eyes of everyone, even the ones that had looked relatively bored, started to bulge. They paled at the revelation of what was inside. How could this be here on the bottom of the ocean? The supervisor was the first to respond. He grabbed one of his employees. "Call the U.S. Coast Guard," Hugh said, and one of his employees immediately ran off to get the phone and make the call. How can this be on the bottom of the ocean?" Kiera stammered. Flabbergasted at this revelation, there had to be an explanation. The distant hum of an engine grew louder, drawing the attention of Kiera and her team towards the horizon. A sleek, white Coast Guard vessel sliced through the waves, its approach swift and purposeful. The vessel stopped beside their ship, and a team of Coast Guard officers boarded. Commander Walsh introduced himself and quickly assessed the anxious crew. The tension on board was undeniable, thick with unspoken questions. In the cramped control room, Kiera replayed footage of the container's discovery. Walsh and his team watched closely. "We found it here," Kiera pointed to the coordinate. The grainy images offered few answers. After a quick internal meeting, Walsh ordered a restricted zone marked around the site, turning the area into a secured zone. Statements were gathered as Coast Guard officers questioned each team member. The crew, still unsettled, recounted the moment they encountered the strange container. What began as an exciting dive had turned into something far more serious. As the robotic diver pried open the container, images flooded the monitor. Paintings, sculptures, and artifacts spilled out. their colors vivid even under sea. Among the pieces, they recognized stolen masterpieces, including one missing from a Paris gallery. One after another, artworks were identified, each linked to historical thefts. Shock rippled through the room. Their discovery had unveiled a cultural treasure thought to be lost forever. The sheer range of items indicated international theft. Walsh acknowledged the global implications. This wasn't just stolen property, it was a significant piece of the world's cultural heritage, and the ocean had hidden it away for decades. Attention then shifted to the container itself. Covered in sea growth, its markings were barely legible. Its origins were unclear. It seemed to have no registered history. Anomalies in its ID raised further suspicion nothing matched global shipping databases. Realizing the depth of the mystery, the team intensified their investigation. Dimensions, manufacturing specs, and serial codes were analyzed and compared across record. The more they searched, the clearer it became this container had been deliberately erased from every system that should have tracked it. Signs of tampering surfaced. Key shipping documents had been altered or deleted. Dates were mismatched. Destinations were inconsistent. Someone had taken great care to hide this container's past. As news spread, interest from governments, museums, and media surged. Cultural ministries and embassies demanded reports. Ownership claims were raised. Suddenly, Kiera and her team found themselves at the center of a worldwide diplomatic stir. The pressure was immense. Their work was no longer just scientific or historical, it had become geopolitical. The story of the mysterious container and its priceless contents had gone global, casting Kiera and her team into an unwanted spotlight. Meanwhile, work to preserve the damaged art began. Kiera collaborated with conservationists to stabilize and restore each piece. Every item was carefully removed, cataloged, and treated in a race against time. She reached out to international experts and law enforcement agencies. As images and records of the recovered artwork circulated, confirmations of stolen masterpieces flooded in. The response was overwhelming, highlighting the significance of the find and the need for international cooperation. Art historians identified artists, origins, and styles, each piece revealing more about its history and theft. Hints of a shadowy network surfaced. Links to known art smugglers and illicit dealers began to form. Kiera's team methodically matched recovered artworks with international theft report. Piece by piece, a larger puzzle came into view, one involving forged records, elaborate smuggling channels, and a criminal network skilled at avoiding detection. Suspicion soon fell on a particular shipping company. Its name appeared too often in the investigation to be coincidence. The firm had expanded rapidly over the last decade, but its growth raised red flags. Trails went cold just as they began to heat up, suggesting someone was erasing evidence in real time. Unable to find conclusive proof from the outside, the team decided to go undercover. Agents were embedded within the company's operations, posing as workers and contractors to collect internal intelligence. What they uncovered was startling. Illegal activity wasn't a side operation, it was integrated into the company's foundation. Corruption and collusion were deeply rooted, with multiple levels of the business involved. Within the company, a few hesitant insiders were identified as potential witnesses. Fear kept them silent. The company's reach was vast, and its retaliation feared. Kiera knew these testimonies could break the case, but gaining their trust required caution. The growing danger prompted increased security. Meetings were held in undisclosed locations, communication was encrypted, and movements became unpredictable. Every step was taken with vigilance, yet the commitment to uncover the truth never wavered. Safety was a concern, but so was justice. In a bold move, the team chose to confront a key figure from the shipping company, someone believed to possess direct knowledge of the smuggling operation. It was risky, but necessary. The meeting was tense. In a quiet location, Kiera and a select few questioned the executive. At first, there were denials, but under pressure, the facade cracked. Key information emerged, evidence of the company's deep involvement. Along with it came a chilling warning. Powerful people were watching. Then, unexpectedly, a former employee reached out. Disillusioned by what they had witnessed, they offered help. Meeting in secret, they revealed insider details about how the operation functioned, routes, tactics, and the people involved. It was the missing piece the team needed. Using this information, Kiera's team linked the container to specific smuggling operation. It was the breakthrough that connected everything, the evidence they had been chasing for months. Now, armed with proof, they prepared their next move. The shipping company was influential and deeply embedded in global trade. Every step had to be calculated and precise. With experts, they decoded the whistleblower's notes, cryptic terms, hidden logs, obscure references. Bit by bit, they pieced the puzzle together. A crucial discovery emerged. The container's ID matched records from secret operations, exposing it as a keystone in a broader scheme. Focus turned to the company's top executives. Once anonymous names on a spreadsheet, they were now prime suspects. The team profiled each individual and laid the groundwork for a coordinated confrontation. Plans were finalized, law enforcement joined forces. The operation would dismantle not just a smuggling ring but an entire criminal network. Then, the moment came. Backed by law enforcement, Kiera and the team faced the company's leadership. With evidence in hand, they laid bare the truth. The confrontation was intense. Denials gave way to silence, and eventually confession. The smuggling ring had operated in the shadows for years. Greed, power, and the desire to control cultural wealth had driven them. With their defenses broken, the full scale of the conspiracy was finally revealed. Attention shifted to the recovery process. The stolen artworks, each with its own history, were identified and prepared for return to rightful owners. Museums, galleries, and collectors around the world awaited the return of pieces long thought lost. The shipping company was exposed. Legal action followed. Executives faced prosecution. Their empire, built on lies, began to crumble. In the midst of it all, Kiera was honored for her leadership. Her unwavering pursuit of the truth had restored priceless artifacts to the world and brought justice to those who had tried to erase them. It was a victory for history, culture, and the truth finally brought to the surface.